Charmander, you mean to tell me that after all these years of pining over Pyra, now that she's finally in Smash Brothers, you don't care? Yeah, she's not much of a talker. Well, we don't know yet. That's why we're here. Welcome everyone, this is Honest Restart. So, it's finally happening. The inevitable conversation about who those final two characters are gonna be. Every time we get a new Smash character, the speculation then moves on to who's next. This is the natural order of things. I myself have been enjoying Pyra and Mythra in Smash Bros. For the last month or so almost, and now we're in the beginning of April and we're starting to get close to that time where people are going to start to wonder, when's the next Smash character coming? So we're going to be talking about that, when we could see that next Smash character, when we could see that final Smash character, and who they could be. I should point out, I don't know who they are, this is speculation, so for sure, take it all with a grain of salt. We're going to be talking about that today, trying to establish some sort of good perspective on what may be happening here. Now before we jump into things, let me first very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. This here is a quick little insert I'm putting in after my initial recording. Basically, there's been some additional speculation that has arisen as of late regarding Smash DLC. Basically, people are now starting to think that maybe we could be getting like a bonus character after Fire Splash Volume 2. For this video, I'm focusing on Fire Splash Volume 2, but I do also mention a potential final update. So maybe, you know, that final update could have this bonus character. If that ends up being the case, still a rumor, take it with a grain of salt, but I'll also put a link in the description below to a video from PapaGenos, who fully details this great video. Check it out after this one. Alright, before we jump into the actual speculation of who the characters are going to be, let's first talk about the timing of things here. When are we going to get these final two reveals? I think it's something very interesting to consider because recently we've been getting the characters in a faster order. So when we got the Nintendo Direct Mini back in March 2020, they told us it was going to take a little bit longer than expected. We had just gotten Byleth to close out Fire Splash Volume 1 back in January of 2020. And this is a time when the pandemic was starting to become a real big deal, where we were starting to realize that a lot of things were going to be pushed up and delayed and that things would be different for a very long while. And we ended up waiting all the way until the end of June for Min Min to come out in Super Smash Bros. So excluding Min Min for Fire Splash Volume 2, the other three characters have been divided by about 2 months to 2.5. It seems that development is going very smoothly for the DLC characters right now, and they're kind of speeding through it. If things maintain at the pace they've been doing with the last few characters, we're going to be done well before the end of the year. In other words, assuming there's nothing beyond Fire Splash Volume 2, I wouldn't expect us to have some sort of big Smash reveal at Game Awards 2021. That's just something I want you guys to sort of consider moving forward. So then, when are we getting the next character? Well, I feel like the next big bet is for summertime, this June. Now conceivably it could happen sooner, especially based off the way the last few characters have been, but I do feel like, you know, they gotta slow down a little bit. And I really feel like things are being positioned right now to where Nintendo will return to having the E3 Nintendo Direct. Now to be clear, E3 itself is under flux right now. We may not get a specific E3 Nintendo Direct, but we will get, in my opinion, a big Nintendo Direct that will satisfy the need of that E3 sort of goodness. We're still going to get a big presentation in June. I think that's happening. I think there are a lot of other signs pointing towards it. I just made a video about potential Zelda plans a couple days ago. You can check that one out. But the basic idea here is that Nintendo's going to have a big Nintendo Direct, and while I do think there's going to be a lot of Zelda things discussed in this Direct, it's going to have a bit of a Zelda focus, there still will be other things, kind of like how in 2018 we had a big Smash Direct, half of the Direct is for Smash Brothers, but then the first half of that direct had other announcements. So I am thinking that we're gonna get like a big summer, early June Nintendo Direct. Conceivably it happens slightly sooner because maybe Nintendo doesn't have to hold themselves to E3 timing, so potentially late May or maybe late June. But around then, I think we're getting a Direct, and I think for sure we're gonna get at least one Smash reveal during this Direct. Potentially two. Because if we go back to E3 2019, what happened? We got two. We got one to open the show with Hero, and then another one to almost close the show, the Banjo and Kazooie, but then of course that was followed by Zelda. Point is, there's a precedent to have two Smash reveals for an E3 style Direct, and that's what I think we're sort of looking at here, a big presentation from Nintendo. So if they do that, conceivably they could have another Smash reveal during this presentation. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that we're just getting one Smash reveal this time around. Why? Well, as I said earlier, I think there's a lot of reason to expect a lot of Zelda plans this year for the 35th anniversary. I think there's gonna be a big focus on Breath of the Wild too. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that because they're refocusing on Zelda, they're not gonna have two Smash reveals. Unless one of those Smash reveals is for a Zelda character. But let's hold off on that for just a little bit more. Well, it's certainly possible we could get two. I'm gonna assume that this time around we're just getting one because of the big Zelda focus. It's not gonna be about Smash, it's gonna be about Zelda and other things that are coming out for the rest of the year. If we just get one more character at E3, I think that's then positioning Nintendo to have one more big Smash reveal in a Nintendo Direct even later into the year. So if we exclude 2020, normally, at least during the Switch era, Nintendo has information coming out early in the year, like a Direct Mini or a February Direct, something like that. Then they have the E3 Direct in the summertime. Then in September, they have a Nintendo Direct. So I think what's going to happen is that this final Smash reveal will be in September, and that will be it. I know a lot of people are thinking that maybe there could still be Volume 3, and I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I do think at some point or another, Sakurai and the Smash team will have to move on. If they don't, great. I love Smash Bros. I would love to see more characters. That'll be amazing. But really what I'm thinking is that we'll get this final Smash character announced in September. Maybe it comes out early October, maybe even still September. And what happens is that they announce a Smash Brothers final update where perhaps they add, for example, 4K visuals with this rumored Switch Pro that comes out for the holiday. And there's like a collector's edition that has all the DLC in there with the free update for 4K visuals. And that's just kind of like what it is, and it comes out for the holiday. It's not like a big release or anything like that. It'll be kind of like how for Pokemon Sword and Shield, they had a complete edition that had all of the DLC. Something like that for people who didn't buy the DLC or haven't gotten Smash Bros. Yet, they want that version. And that's how I'm currently thinking they're going to be ending Smash Bros. But now that we have an idea of when maybe we could sort of see these characters, one in the summer and one in around the September time period, who will these two characters be? They're gonna wanna give us something hype, right? To close out the Fighters Pass, to close out Smash Ultimate. Well, I would argue that my theory about them maybe having some sort of 4K optimized patch for Smash Ultimate for the Switch revision might be their final update. And maybe there's other things there. Maybe Sakurai throws in another stage, maybe they throw in another little cutesy mode or some other sort of quality of life improvements. And heck, maybe there's even still a small chance that we get a bonus character during this final update. And if so, maybe one of the characters I talk about in this video could apply to that. But I think that's gonna be it. Normally when we see the end of Smash DLC or Smash marketing for the base game, that final reveal is usually not the biggest, most hype reveal. It pretty much never is. So if you're building yourself up to think that they're gonna have Sora to close out the Fighters Pass, I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but I'm just saying history has shown to maybe not expect the most hype reveal at the very end. Either way though, two more characters. I think we're probably gonna get one more Nintendo character, one more third-party character. Conceivably, it's two more third-party characters, but I'm gonna stick with 3 and 3. Right now it's 2 and 2, so I feel like the best bet is 3 and 3. Going into this pass, I always felt like there'd be more of a Nintendo influence this time around, especially because it's the second pass, it's even harder to maintain momentum, so they need to use Nintendo characters to sort of keep the core Nintendo fanbase even more involved. But still, of course, third-party characters bring in a large audience as well. It brings in more eyes. Those are very hype, so I think they're going to at least have one more, because that's certainly important. So then what's going to happen? Well, it definitely depends on what the characters are going to be. Let's say the character is going to be a Zelda character. If one of the final two characters is a Zelda character, then for sure they're going to reveal this character during the big Nintendo Direct that has a Zelda focus, I think. That makes the most sense. If you're going to have all this Zelda fanfare, why not put out a Zelda character? When it comes to actual game content, I feel like they're going to announce it all around the same time, assuming they're handling things similar to Mario's anniversary. So if there is a Zelda character coming, I'm going to say it's going to happen during that Zelda-focused E3 Direct, which will be this summer. So if we don't get a Zelda character this summer, I don't think there's going to be a Zelda character to close out the pass. So what Zelda character could this be? Could we see a promotion of Skull Kid or Girahim? Potentially. I'm going to side with no, though. I'm going to assume that they're perhaps going to want to put someone a little bit more relevant. Perhaps Impa, for example. Impa is a character that has been a big character in most of the Zelda games. She is a recurring character, unlike Girahim or Skull Kid. She's someone that I think would make sense to be in there alongside Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. And considering the popularity of Age of Calamity and the Impa design there, and also how that's also for Breath of the Wild, and then the upcoming Breath of the Wild 2, from a marketing perspective, I feel like it makes tons of sense to bring in Impa, and also from a legacy perspective, I still feel like it makes sense to put in Impa if we're putting in any Zelda character. And thanks to Age of Calamity, we now have a pretty good sort of moveset for her, so I think they could definitely make something work for that, and it could be a very fun character that a lot of people would be very excited about. Let's say, for the sake of argument, we don't get a Zelda character, which I think is definitely a pretty good chance. What other sort of Nintendo character could we see? I'm sure there are a whole bunch of options. I'm sure all of you guys will have a whole bunch of ideas, so for sure share them with me in the comments below. But if I'm gonna just guess anything, I'm gonna guess either, I hate to say this, either a Pokemon character or a Metroid character. I'm not hating on the idea of a Metroid character, I'm actually hating on the idea of a Pokemon character just because there's a whole bunch of Pokemon characters, and this would very clearly be something that would be to push some sort of new Pokemon game. But Sword and Shield's been out for a long while already. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are just remakes, and then there's Legends Arceus, so if they put in Arceus, that would be pretty cool, I guess, but otherwise, I'm not really expecting another Pokemon character. But then again, at the same time, we did get Incineroar, which was long after Sun and Moon, and we still don't have a Generation 8 Pokemon. So it's certainly a possibility. Maybe it could be something else, one of the legendaries from the base game or from the DLC, hard to say. But I'd like to circle back to Metroid because personally that's just a little bit more exciting to me, and I think if there's any franchise that needs a little bit more of a boost in terms of the Smash marketing, it would definitely be Metroid. So I've been talking about for a while how I think Nintendo has this grand plan to reintroduce Metroid to the world and have like a series of games and announcements that will sort of build up into this wonderful snowball that will amount to an incredible launch for Metroid Prime 4 that will springboard the entire franchise and allow us to get more consistent, high quality, high selling Metroid games. Wouldn't that be nice? I think it explains why we haven't gotten any Metroid announcements yet. I think Nintendo is trying to pace themselves here and have it all come out at the right time. So with that all said, what if the final character, the very final reveal for Smash Bros. Is a Metroid character, and it's Sylix? Why Sylix? Because that's the only other Metroid character that I think would make sense to put into Smash Bros. Right now, it may not seem like it makes too much sense because for many of you may not even know who Sylix is. Sylix isn't that big of a character in the Metroid series, but Sylix is going to become a bigger character in the Metroid series. So Sylix is from Metroid Prime Hunters, a spin-off Metroid Prime game. But Hunters is still a part of the lore for Metroid Prime, and Sylix is actually following Samus at the end of Metroid Prime 3, and from interviews we know Silex will play a vital role to the story for Metroid Prime 4, which by the way was teased in another spin-off game, Metroid Prime Federation Force, with Silex stealing a Metroid egg at the very end of that game. So there's clearly a Silex plan here. So when Nintendo finally reintroduces the Metroid franchise to the world, potentially during the Summer Nintendo Direct and potentially another announcement around September time, they could conceivably announce another Smash character, a Silex character, that will inspire more excitement and get players to try out Metroid. Honestly, I feel like the best bet is a Zelda character, but you know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's circle back to a third-party character, because like I said earlier, I only feel like we're getting one more Nintendo character, and there's going to be at least one more third-party character. So who's that third-party character going to be? Well, it could be... I don't know. There's so many options, but there's two that come to mind that I feel like are very fitting. One is Crash Bandicoot. There's been like this continued promotion and a series of announcements for Crash over the last couple years. There have been rumors of this leaked sort of plan for Crash, and supposedly that included a Crash Bandicoot inclusion to Smash Bros. So I feel like it's certainly fitting. It would be poetic to see Crash Bandicoot in Smash Bros, especially since there's a history of Crash being used to sort of compete against Nintendo from Sony. So for sure, I would love to see it for that reason. The narrative would be very nice, and it's a fun character, so I'd be excited for that, and I know a lot of people would be very happy with it. But then another great option is Rayman. Rayman has been a long-time fan-requested character. There have been theories and speculation and fake leaks and rumors going on for years about Rayman getting into Smash Bros. And considering how closely Nintendo and Ubisoft have worked together over the years, and that they don't have their own playable character in Smash Bros., it's very peculiar. So maybe we're gonna see Rayman finally added in to close out the past. Maybe that would actually be a pretty good finale. Rayman finally makes it in. I think that could be pretty great. Now I want to say that I'm assuming it's gonna be one Nintendo character and one third-party character, but conceivably, it could be two third-party characters. We already got two Nintendo characters, maybe that's enough. But on the flip side, maybe they want to close it out with two more Nintendo characters. Maybe they're out of third-party deals. If I had to guess, I feel like the most likely is one Nintendo character, one third-party character, but then the second most likely is two more third-party characters, and the least likely is just all Nintendo characters. If it ends up being that second option where it's just two more third-party characters, I'll go ahead and put out, I'd like to see both Rayman and Crash add to Smash Bros. I feel like those two characters would fill up the roster very nicely in terms of simply having the big gaming great mascots all involved in one game, and that would be wonderful, and it would be a great way to tie a nice little neat bow on this ultimate Smash Bros game. I say that, but I also want to put out that with the inclusion of Pyra and Mythra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I already feel like we've gotten that neat bow. To me, Smash Bros is already the ultimate game. I really don't need anything else, but simply in terms of seeing other characters that have been cherished over the years in the gaming world, Rayman and Crash would be nice. And if we're talking about Nintendo characters, Silex or Impa would also be nice to see as well. But those are just my ideas for what I think is happening. At the very least, I feel confident in saying that we're going to get at least one reveal this summertime. Potentially two, but more likely that second one will come out around September. And that'll be it. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. This is Honest Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.